Yeah. So the brand started during quarantine. So I own another business with my fiance, which I've removed myself to put full focus on Recovery Life. Yeah, so it kind of blossomed, which is like a real part of my message is if you have something calling you, if you have a passion about something, it's like fate or purpose or there's many different names for it, a calling, whatever. Like if you,
a dream.
Yes, it will meet you it will meet you at the right, it's like divine timing, right? Because I don't know if I talked about this too much in our last interview, but like a clothing line and doing everything we're doing has just been a dream of mine forever that I said, tuck that away. I said, no, like it's just not, I was a very limited in my belief system. Like I knew it was going to be successful, but I said, I'm going to just take a skilled route. I'm a salesperson, whatever. And what I really want to do, that creative, inspiring, like that energy that I was born with, that I've been given back since I've been so clean and sober, that's just meant for another life. Like it's there, I'll use it on the side or something, but it's not how I'm going to live my life. And so the quarantine happened and I had nothing but time on my hands. So,
and I'm over here like I'm purposeless.
Yes.
I and another thing about the meetings, sorry to interrupt you. Another thing about the meetings is that what they did save my life, but what I don't really resonate with is almost the style, because you hear all these other people speak and you hear their try, and then just there's no like, oh, or ooh, or maybe you should try this. It's like literally someone stopped sharing. It was like, my name's George, and this is my problem of the day. And then you tell your problems or your issues or whatever it is you want to get off your chest. And then it goes, I'm, whatever. And I just felt like there's got to be more like conversation. There's got to be like some therapeutic, like back and forth. Like we're all together. Like we need to be like talking about this. We're all just going to hear about that horrible thing that happened to them and just be like, bye, George.
Yeah.
And so she starts brainstorming about like what we could do.
So it started as after the meeting.
Yeah. Like after the meeting apparel was how your business started off, right?
Yeah. And it was supposed to just be like a side thing of merch, like, and not like a full on clothing line. You know what I mean? But that's that purpose thing. And letting go of fear with that and just allowing my creative self to kind of take over my passion, really. Because I really believe that everybody's born with a passion, and that passion that lives within you is your purpose. And like I know for me, like once I had like tapped into it, it was on and
it was a matter of weeks.
It was on and popping.
We had grown almost 2,000 followers
on Facebook
on our videos.
Yeah.
And she calls me, she's like, I want to start a clothing line. And I said, what? I said, how, what, where, what? And she's like, we'll just do it. Yeah. I said, we'll just do it. She's like, yeah, you in? What's up? Because I had moved out.
Yes.
So I had moved out at this point, got into another relationship.
Yes.
Who I'm super happy with.
Yes.
And yeah. And I'm like, what? Like
she was like, what?
And I'm like, and she's like, yeah, I'm a designer. Actually, already have a few. I'm like, okay. And she's like, it'll just be like, whatever. It'll be like, we'll just do it. And I'm like, okay. Like, she's always been like this though, right? Yeah. No matter what it was. I mean, unfortunately, to bring it back to addiction, I'd be like, well, how are we going to get there? How are we going to pay for it? She's like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just do it. So I'm like, what about a car? She's like, just manifest a car. Because that's a true story that I wasn't there for, but I like to make fun of her.
Yeah, but it's a true story. So, yeah. So
why was it important to change the name? Because...
Well, a few different things, right? And one, obviously it's a brand. You want something that's like, boom. But so Recovery Life was sitting there and we're like, because I'd looked up a few different names and I'm like, oh, that's trademarked, that's trademarked, that's trademarked. And so I'm like, Sober AF is trademarked, Clean AF is trademarked, Dopeless is trademarked. All these names are trademarked. So I didn't even search Recovery Life. And then, so there was a third person, but we've separated. We're all friends, everything's good, but she's doing a different thing. And she's like, Recovery Life. And I'm like, I love it. And we're like, there's no way. Like,
she said that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was
yeah. So we're like, no. So anyways, skip forward. We're at the trademark office, and the attorney's like, we're talking Recovery Life, and oh, we love it so much. And he's like, well, I can search it. And we're like, yeah, it's probably taken. It's like so popular, or whatever. And so we search it, and then lo and behold, there's like nothing, no copyrights, no trademarks, nothing. And we're like, he's like, do you want to trademark it? And we're like, yeah. So we trademarked. Yeah. So we trademarked, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, I can't believe that that's not trademarked. And he's like, because it's meant for you. And I said, bitch, it is. That's why. I'll take it.
Okay, I have a question here. Actually, just before, I got somebody here asking a question, and can I don't mean to stop your story, but
no, yeah.
Here's a question. Have you ever sold or marketed your apparel around the rooms of actually a 12-step program?
Hilarious.
No.
Yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
there's your answer.
I'm not gonna say why we think it's hilarious, because we don't know who's watching this and we don't want to drama. But no, we don't.
No, we don't.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. And the other one was another comment from another person, which is a great comment. After years of sobriety and years of living the life out there, one thing I know is addiction is patient and can wait and wait. It's like,
oh yeah.
I love this. It's like Santa. It knows when you're awake.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah. Great comment, Selena. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it can. And that is the thing about what was so amazing about changing the name, is it also goes along with the fact that while we respect the rooms, we respect the meetings, we did not mean to become influencers. So as we started becoming that, it very organically, just because people were really vibing with Recovering Out Loud, we realized that is not all there is. And I like what you say about how you came to like your revelation about understanding more. But
I was very strict.
Very strict.
And through this process,
was,
and she's a devil's advocate. Like that's just it's just who she is, you know? And I was so fucking traumatized from my addiction, and that I found a program that saved my life. So I was very
there's only one
I
way.
was very just like, skirt, you know what I'm saying? And if anybody came to me and said that they had found any form of like recovery another way, I'm like, oh, it's a matter of time, bitch, bye. Like it's not working. You know what I'm saying? And I had that mentality. And through this process, I've been very humbled in that respect. And I understand and see now that like, oh, wait a minute. Like there are other ways. Like this is just the way that worked for me. And like, and so, yeah. So I wanted to separate that. So we don't want to leave anybody out. We don't want to discredit anybody's process.
Not at all.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you can be recovering, you know, and through step work and things like that, and through therapy or whatever it is that you do. I think if you're in addiction, you also realize that you're recovering from a lot more than just just like drugs and alcohol. Yeah. Okay. So, and whether or not you ever delved down that path with drugs and alcohol, there's other people out there recovering, you know, domestic relationships, eating disorders, you know, self-harm, trauma. And it was like, why, if we're out here, you know, showing people to basically pick up the pieces of your life, how to be happy and wonderful. And that's why I do like to talk about my depression, my anxiety. That's why she's super open about, you know, her self-harm, like things that Lalita went through that were really, you know, pretty horrific. Is we're like, wow, there's a lot more to recover from. And if we could show how we do it, we might be able to help people. Yeah. Because I never, ever, ever thought I would be the person I am today. And it's only been a year and 2 months. I mean, even 6 months in, I'm like, you know, I'm like, maybe I'll pretend to be sick and she won't show up. Not me. I'll be like, I don't even know, you know, I still wasn't like.
But that's the power of the mind. And like, I didn't come out and straight up tell her. And I'm just allowing things, you know, with our message. And I say, okay, I'm going to let God and the universe and our followers kind of dictate like what is said, and I'll kind of see. And so now we're coming to a phase, and because that's a really important process for me and how I've gotten to where I am. And it's mindset. it's truly is mindset. And
I said, this is my mind, I can't change it.
but you can.
But you
and
can.
like that's the beautiful
But you
thing. And I know that, and even telling her, and I'm like, dude, this sounds like, and I say, I know it sounds like crazy,
It
but
does
like
sound crazy.
it sounds crazy, but like I promise you. And I would go, how do you think I own $1 million tree service? What do you like? What, like, come on.
I'd be like, I don't
Like,
know, because
yeah.
like trees are expensive. I don't know.
But
You're
it's
lucky.
true. If you treat your body right, you take care of your mind, you are careful of what you allow to rent space in your mind. You are very consciously aware, and you filter what you allow, what you see, what you think, the people that you talk to, the music that you listen to, what you watch on television, the stuff that you allow yourself to see on social media. It is whatever you allow into your mind, you will become that.
Yeah.
And my life is just been a progression of the last 4 years. I've proven to myself that anything is possible as long as I set my mind, right? So I like to say, and I heard this and I said, oh, I get chills. It's not a mindset, it's how you set your mind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It just seems so impossible at the beginning, which is why I feel like there's so many, it's like hard in the beginning. There's a lot of relapses in the beginning, and it's like you just don't believe that you can change your entire life, including the way that you think, the way that you feel. Like, I still have bad days, and
I think that's
we
normal.
want to
We're
do like
human,
some
right?
YouTube videos on like, we're not perfect, and like here's the things that we struggle with.
Right.
We don't want anyone to think that like, oh, we're just
It's unattainable.
we are perfect, like dancing around. It's like no, we're not, and we still struggle. But like, what are you gonna do with it?
What are you gonna do
what
about
are you gonna
it?
do with it?
Yeah.
Because there's still days I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to get out of this bed, and I go, oh, no.
Well,
I'm
when
getting
you
out of bed,
you want to talk about that
making a cup of
practice,
coffee.
that the reject and accept?
Yeah, my favorite
So for
thing, which I
listeners-
thought was the dumbest thing, kind of for like 5 seconds, and I said, no, everything else is working, so I'll try it. You're so dumb. And like, okay, she ain't perfect, trust.
No.
So I'm like, okay, she goes, listen, I heard this really cool thing. And he's like, listen, you can just reject those thoughts. I'm like, what? And she's like, you can just say, so like you're thinking something negative, because
That's not conducive.
because
to, like, where
I
you're going, right?
tell her like I'll be in the car and like I'll imagine like a semi truck smashing into us, or I'll be laying down at bed and I imagine like being kidnapped. Like I have these very, and it gets way more intense and way worse, but actually lately barely, because she goes, you can just go, I reject that thought. And then think of something positive and say, I accept that thought. And I go, oh, okay. So later that night, here I am, like imagining like my cat getting run over by a car, and like I'm like, oh, I reject that thought. And then I immediately replaced it with a positive one. And then like kind of worked. I like forced myself to start thinking about other things. And I started doing it more. I'd be in the car with her and I imagine the thing. I go, I reject that thought. And I think of something positive, or I just keep rejecting the thoughts. And like the next thing I know, it'd been like a month and a half. And it's like they're not gone completely, but it happens like 80% less.
Mhm.
And when I do reject one, it goes away really fast now, because I've taught my mind to seriously reject them. Because listen, it's my mind.
It's my mind.
I don't understand why I went all these years not saying like, yo, hey, you. Yeah.
You're in my head.
I'm tired of that little subconscious, like fucking around,
Bye.
playing games. I'm about all done with this trash. And so I said, I'm done. Like I imagine my boyfriend like dying, like it's crazy, weird stuff. So it really,
that's like intrusive thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts. And so it's just a prime example. And I totally get now where everyone's like, if I can do it, anyone can. I'm like, oh,
it's true.
That person must have been fucked up.
Yes.
I want to talk about
like
that
at first I thought that was so corny. What?
You guys brought up that it's a struggle, and I really want to touch on that and talk about it a little bit. What has been your big struggles through building this brand and working together? I know me and Suzanne could probably share.
Say what you always say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always say. I say a lot.
Yeah.
So for me personally, and I'm rounding out on the other side now, because I've always been a person that you don't really know what's going on the inside of me. I mask very, very well, like extremely well. And then I'll start to tell her like my inner thoughts, and she goes, what? Like you're thinking that? I'm like, oh yeah. And she's like, oh, you'd never tell. But for me, it's been the good enough stuff. Is the message good enough? Are we going to reach enough people? is this the right thing to do? Is this dumb? Should I do something else? So for me, it's been that what fearless, you know, moving through, because it's all fear, you know, and it's fear. And I'll go, oh, I'm in my 30s. Oh, this or that. Oh, you shouldn't be on TikTok. You're
Same.
too old. Oh, all these things. And so that has been for me, this is really believing, because I say, oh, I have this grandiose vision and I have the tangible evidence of the impact that we make on a daily basis all day long. And I have to stay connected and plugged into that, because I'll go, okay, wait, no, that's just fear. And I got fuck fear tattooed on my arm.